live. Awesome. Cool. So, welcome to another Tuesday Wellness Workshop. So today we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. Who here could use a little bit of education about nutrition? Pretty much while you're here, right? You don't?
Absolutely.
Okay. Only one person didn't raise their hand. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about specifically the anti-inflammatory diet, because we live in a world that unfortunately our daily habits create a lot of inflammation in our body. And inflammation is unfortunately the underlying cause to a lot of chronic disease, like cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. You name it, you can usually find a inflammatory component behind it. So before we jump into the anti-inflammatory foods, let's just start with the most basic conversation of a diet. Wouldn't it be pretty cool to understand what a diet is to begin with? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So if we are to just, talk about what a diet is, would you say a diet is about counting your calories? Somewhat, but is that really what a diet is?
No, it's not about that.
What about cutting out all of the fats and carbohydrates? Is it about that?
Nope.
No, because a diet is more than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to talk about, what about, this is the fear of most people that have to quote unquote diet. Well, is it about cutting out everything that you love and everything that tastes good? No. A diet is none of those things. So if that's not what a diet is, then how would you describe what a diet is? What's a diet? Anyone want to be brave?
What you put in your mouth.
What you put in your body. It's actually the perfect answer that you could have said. Because a diet is simply the food decisions that you make on a daily basis. But how many people use the word diet as a temporary solution? Meaning, you know what, I'm going to diet for the next couple months because I have a wedding and I want to lose weight for that. So then they're going to be on a quote-unquote diet, but all they're doing is they're altering what they're putting in their body at that moment of time. They're still eating, but they're eating better choices. So a diet is just the everyday decision on what you're going to drink, what you're going to eat, and what you're going to consume throughout the day. So when you break it down to just the most basic component of that, then you can realize that all of these diets that I call a fad diet, they all work for the same reason, and we're going to go over that in a moment. But, so you have two choices. If now we know that the diet is just what you're putting in your body every day, you've got two choices. Very easy, very plain. Those two choices are, have a diet that's rich in good food, have a diet that's rich in bad food. Very basic, but that's really what is going to make you healthy or unhealthy, is what you're putting in your body every day. So your two choices are, let's choose foods that are going to be putting me in a direction towards health, or choosing foods that's going to be putting you a direction towards sickness and disease. But we live in a world right now, unfortunately, most people have a diet that is bringing them closer to sickness and disease than health and wellness. Would you not agree with that?
Yes.
Hence why the majority of the world is obese. And this is not just for adults. This is also for children. I always like to share this quote because it means a lot to me, because it makes me wake up every morning and come up with these presentations and have the drive to do these type of talks, because I'm not sure who the person was that said this, so don't ask me who said it, but I can tell you what he said. And he said that this generation of children, the generation that we're in now, the teenagers and adolescents, is the first generation that they're not expected to outlive their parents.
I agree.
Is that not scary? Is that not something that we should wake up in the morning and say, something's got to change? Because if we're not going to be looking at our children or our future children, because if they're sick and unhealthy, well, they're going to turn into adults that are sick and unhealthy. And then now we have a world that everybody's sick and unhealthy. And who's going to be driving the health movement? That's what we're here for, to educate you guys, because you guys are here, men and women, sorry. You guys are here, though, because you want to make a difference in your lives, but then if you can make a difference in your lives, you can make a difference in the people's lives around you. So that's what's the most important thing, because I don't have to stand up here and do these presentations. And I don't have to be live on Facebook and doing this. I'm doing this because this message needs to get out there, because if it's not talked about, we're going to go down that same exact road towards sickness and disease. So we have to realize that what you put in your body every day, how much movement you do throughout the day or lack of movement is going to affect your health. Obviously, as a chiropractor, I'm going to say chiropractic care is important for you on a regular basis. All of these things are things that need to be done regularly, because that's what's going to get you the healthiest that you can be. So today we're really focusing on diet, but each week we're going to focus on a little bit more of a different thing. Last week we were talking about emotional health, because what we think also affects our body. So today let's talk about the diets. So you have two decisions. You can live a life that you choose to put good things in your body. You can live a life that you could choose to put bad things in your body. So let's talk about the fad diets, I like to call them. The fad diets are those diets that most people tend to choose. So we could talk about the Weight Watchers diet, the Jenny Craig diet, the Atkins diet. What else we got up there? The South Beach diet is an old one that's kind of faded out a little bit. You got the Zone diet, vegetarian diet, gluten-free diets. I mean, they all have some type of component that's all in common, and they all work in some way or another. And what is that commonality that all of these diets have that makes you actually lose weight? Anybody know? They all have the same thing in common, and it's more basic than you think. Why does diets work? Quote unquote, fad diets work.
There's so many ways to attack that.
So choose one.
Okay. Well, I'll do case. Some limit. Oh, okay. They have you on a meal program where you eat at certain times or a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Don't overthink the question.
Oh, okay. Probably.
You are correct about everything you're doing. It makes a structured change.
Mm-hmm.
But the big component is each and every one of these diets work because it changes the current plan that you're on.
Oh.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, if you're used to eating a diet that is mostly carbohydrates, you might dabble a little bit in vegetables if you had somebody that taught you about vegetables, but you have a lot of carbohydrates. You know, you're not really conscious about what you drink, so you have the sodas and stuff like that. That type of lifestyle is going to drive sickness and disease. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to now go on a diet, I'm going to go on Jenny Craig, whatever it is. Jenny Craig now tells you these are the things that you should be eating on a regular basis, and here's the structure for it. So it just changes your current system. But it's not because Jenny Craig was the most smartest person in the world and created this plan. It's just that they made the choices that you are doing every day more healthier choices. So when you start to get away from the temporary fad diet, and that temporary fad diet just becomes what's called a lifestyle, well, now it's no longer a temporary diet, it's just how you live. Is that more empowering? Like, I'm not changing my diet, I'm changing my lifestyle. Once it becomes a lifestyle change, well, now all of a sudden the body responds like that, and you start melting away if that's what you're trying to do, weight loss. Or if you're trying to get more lean and you're working out, you might choose more protein and fat over the carbohydrates. Whatever your goal is, you just have to make sure that whatever you're doing on a regular basis becomes a lifestyle and not just a temporary moment in time. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I have one question.
Yes, sure.
Okay? That question is the word carbohydrate.
Okay.
There are actually two types of carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
And the one healthy choice is the one you claimed there, which is your vegetables and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And then you have your simple, which is empty calorie food.
Of course. So you have your good and bad carbohydrates.
Right.
Yes. So when I say, just to clarify, when I say high in carbohydrates, I talk about the bad carbohydrates.
Okay.
I talk about the refined sugars and all that stuff, all the cakes and the cookies and as much as the Italians love it, the pastas and the pizzas.
Right.
You know, those are all great things that physically taste better, but there is really no nutritional value to it, and in fact leads you in the wrong direction towards sickness and disease. So yes, there are good carbohydrates and there are bad carbohydrates. Just like there's good fats and there's
And
bad
bad
fats.
fats,
And
right.
there's good proteins and not so great proteins.
Right.
So there's always good and bads of everything.
Yes.
You know, for example, protein, let's use for example. This is big in the bodybuilding world or the working out world. They like to take protein shakes, correct?
Yes.
So protein shakes, the protein that is typically used in protein shakes are what's called whey protein.
Yeah.
Whey protein, unfortunately, if you start looking at the research now, has a very negative effect on your blood sugar and your insulin intake and the creation of insulin. So a lot of times that when you're on whey protein a lot, you can see fluctuations in the blood sugar because the insulinogenic aspects of the body get changed. So whey protein isn't the best type of protein. So I recommend to people going to a more vegetable protein, like a pea protein or a hemp protein or something like that. So
Right.
that's actually a better choice. So that's a difference how you could go from two different proteins. One could be healthier, one could be unhealthier.
Well, I found out as I did my own research
Mhm.
too, a little more deeply. It depends on where the whey protein came from,
It is very true.
because the difference between whey proteins, most of them sold here in the United States, are detrimental to the human body.
Mhm.
One of them because of the fact that they have corn-fed animals, which basically, for the most part, makes them high in fat. So that fat is transferred into the protein itself. And since whey protein is a byproduct of the fat in the cows, so therefore it makes it different.
Yeah.
When you go to omega-3 fed, grass-fed cows, not only are they high in omega-3s, they actually help control blood pressure.
Absolutely. The downside of that statement, how many cows do you think are fed corn versus how many cows do you think are fed
Fed grass.
omega-3 grass? So it's more likely that a company is going to use the normal corn-fed ones because it's more affordable, so they can
Right.
make a higher profit.
Right.
So yes, in a perfect world, yes, if you could find the omega-3 rich proteins, that is 100% the one you should go for.
Okay.
The thing is, where do you find it?
I did.
Okay, so we will share that later.
We'll
so we
share
can
it
continue.
later.
We will share that later, and I will share
You'll
that
love
with
it.
Facebook as
You'll
well once we
love
get that. But yeah, but I like to go with the vegetable protein, like the pea protein or something like that, because vegetables are less likely to have those negative effects. Granted, you could get in a conversation about pesticides and stuff like that to get involved with that, but at least you know, at least it's being grown from the earth.
Yeah.
So it's a better source. So I personally like a company called Vega One,
Which is a
pea
good
protein.
company.
So that's a good one. That's my personal one that I use, but there's tons of them out there. But let's continue on because we could talk hours about what protein to take. So here's the key to weight loss. Because people always ask, how do I lose weight? The key to weight loss, number one, choose healthier foods versus unhealthier foods. But then you have to add the component of movement. You have to add the component of some type of exercise. So when you're exercising and you're expending equal to or more calories than you're taking in, you're going to have a weight loss effect to that. That's not the only way to lose weight, but it's a really good way to do it. So make sure that whatever you're eating, you're expending calories as well. You're not just eating them and then going to sit on the couch. There is a component of you moving your body so that you could burn the calories and burn the fat and protein and, well, not protein, the fat and carbohydrates that you're consuming. And that's going to allow you to lose weight. So there is a component, I would probably say 60 to 70% of weight loss is dieting, or I should say the lifestyle decisions that you make on a regular basis. The other component is an exercise component as well. But that really is very easy. It's not rocket science to lose weight. The easiest way to lose weight is to take responsibility. That's the hardest thing for people though, is taking responsibility and saying, this is up to me, because nobody's going to sit there and put the food in my mouth, so I have to decide that, and nobody's going to make my legs move and walk to somewhere like a gym or a track to start moving the body. It's all up to us. So the first thing in changing your life in any way, if it's to weight loss, if it's for becoming healthier because you want to decrease disease, it's really number one, taking responsibility for your health and saying it's up to me, and then taking the action steps to move forward into that direction. Because there's millions of people out there that consciously know I have to eat better and I have to exercise. That's what's going to keep me healthy. But how many people are actually doing it? A smaller percentage that should. So it really is more boiling down to realizing inside you that you have to just do it and then do the action steps that are going to make you do it. So let's talk about some of the excuses that we see. Are these not some of the things that we hear people say? So it's too expensive to diet. So I'm just going to go with a more affordable way of eating, like going to fast food or doing stuff like that. So it's too expensive. Is it going to be more expensive to eat better? Probably, because you're going to get more organic, healthier foods. But isn't that less expensive than having heart disease or having cancer? So yeah, maybe in the temporary period of time, you're spending more money. But that's a lot better than spending your lifetime saving on trying to get rid of cancer, trying to manage diabetes, trying to recover from a potential heart attack or heart disease. It's a lot less expensive in the long run. In the short term, it might be. So that one, as much as there's a small percentage of that being true, it's a short-term expense for a better future. I'm too busy. Okay, so how many hours are in a day? 24 hours a day. So we all have 24 hours a day, correct? So we all have the same exact amount of days in the entire day. So how come some people can eat healthy and look healthy, and other people can have really bad health and really bad decisions on the way they eat? They have the same amount of time. What's the difference? It's what they're deciding to do with their time.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't have enough time, it's that you're not taking responsibility to choose your time wisely and choose a schedule that works to make you healthier. So that one you can just throw away because we all have the same amount of time. It's just how you use that time is what makes us all different. I had a bad day. How many had a bad day? We've all had bad days before. I mean, I've had bad days before. So
We got a streak going.
we got a streak going here. She's got a couple bad days. So what do we do when we have bad days? We say, this stinks. I'm going to reward myself with my favorite pizza pie or my favorite pie. Like, so we use that emotion and we turn that into a drive to bring us more closer to disease. So what if we start changing our mindset? I'm going to reward myself with a salad. Doesn't sound great.
A bowl
But it
of
would be-
blueberries.
Or I'm going to celebrate with a bowl of blueberries and whipped cream. No, but it really, people have turned bad habits as being reward. Like there's many people out there, oh, I'm so stressed, let me go get a cigarette. Or I'm so stressed, let me go get a shot. You know, we've turned negative things into rewards. And then all of a sudden when we're stressed, we go to the bad things in life, rather than using it to drive us to improve whatever situation you're in, and then also not choosing to go to something more negative and making a snowball effect of making it worse. I deserve a treat, kind of what I was just saying. A treat doesn't always have to be negative. A treat could be also good. It's genetic. Your genetics, I talk about this all the time, your genetics are not your destiny. Just because you have a gene inside of you doesn't mean you're going to automatically get that disease. Your lifestyle is what's going to drive that direction. I'm not going to go on to that too much, but if you want to learn more, it's called epigenetics. Look up epigenetics, and it's about how the environment affects your genes. Diets don't work for me. You want to know why diets don't work for you? Because you treated it as a temporary thing. Once that diet becomes a lifestyle, you no longer have this on and off weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain, because now it's a lifestyle. So whatever's working at the time, keep it going. So that's why I don't work, because it didn't stick with it. I have a slow metabolism. I'll go quick. I'll start tomorrow. That's a big one. I'll get it going. You know, we'll do it tomorrow. You know what? I had a bad day. I'm stressed. I deserve a treat today because I had a bad day. I'll start tomorrow. Then you have another bad day, and then it just becomes a bad cycle. I love food too much. Do you realize you can actually eat healthy and actually taste good? Isn't that an amazing thing? You can actually eat good and it doesn't have to be plain and Jane. But people think healthy eating equals no flavor. which is totally false. But it's just these things we put in our head, and then we believe them, and then we think diets or a dietary lifestyle that's healthy is negative. And a dietary lifestyle that has everything you want and tastes great is good. Because usually, if it tastes really good, they packed it up with a lot of food additives, sugars, etc. to make it taste better. So unfortunately, if it tastes good, it doesn't always mean it's good for you.
Exactly.
And then I don't want to look like a stick figure. This is more for women, but not all women are going to become skinny rails. You can actually turn your body into a better shape, but it doesn't have to be a skinny rail. You know, if you start to work out and start to do muscular training, you can turn that into a toned body. Women are not meant to be bulky and like manly. Men might have more of a likelihood to be like that, so a man could get like that. But women have more estrogen than testosterone. Testosterone is what builds those those muscles. So women have less of that, so they're less likely to get those big, bulky muscles. But there's a lot of women out there that think they're just going to get super skinny if they diet, and then if they start working out, they're going to start looking like a man. So then they basically make no decision. It's like, I don't want to get skinny, but I don't want to look like a man if I start working out. So I'm just going to stay the way I am. That's the decisions that they make. We don't want to go that direction. So throw all of these excuses out because they literally are excuses. It's not real. You have enough time. You do deserve a treat, but it should be healthier. What's another one up there? You should start today, don't start tomorrow. You know, I could go through every one, and you literally could just change the wording of that, and all of a sudden it's empowering. Kind of going into what we, last week, how we were talking about what you talk and what you say creates your world. That creates a negative world.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't create a positive world. Sorry, just want to go through. Okay, so let's talk about the All-American Diet. That's why I call it the All-American Diet. So this diet we can also call the inflammatory diet, because if you're on this diet, it's almost guaranteed you're going to go towards a life that's very inflamed. So here's just a small list of things that cause inflammation. This is not the only list. Please be informed of that. But these are just some things that cause inflammation in the body. So will you not agree that most Americans live a life that has higher in sugar and higher in refined carbohydrates, bad carbohydrates?
Definitely.
Of course. We live in a world that is crazy with sugars and carbohydrates, bad carbohydrates. And you got to realize, even if you're not having table sugar or you're not having cookies, the carbohydrates that are high in that simple carbs, like the breads, pastas, etc., that all turns into sugar in your body. So when you say sugar, it doesn't have to mean table sugar. It could be table sugar, but it doesn't. It also has to be the fact that the high carbohydrates turns into sugar in your body. So the body doesn't know the difference between the two. It's both called glucose in your body, whether you have it from table sugar or carbohydrate. Fried and processed foods. There's a lot of people that have that, correct? So all the fried foods, they're fried in vegetable oils. Vegetable oil is high in omega-6. Omega-6 drives inflammation up. So you'd want to stay away from anything fried because that's going to increase the likelihood that you're going to have inflammation. Let's put in trans and saturated fats, vegetable oils, MSG, or any other food additives. You know, there's a lot of places that put MSG in their food because it increases the flavor. Casein and gluten, that's a big one. There's a lot of people in this world that are sensitive to gluten, dairy, soy, etc., but they don't realize it. Gluten is a big one. I use a very specialized test in this office that is a very comprehensive evaluation for gluten sensitivity and if you have leaky gut, which is something that's caused by inflammation in the stomach. We can talk about that another day. But I've been testing a lot of our patients recently, and most of the medical community looks at gluten as celiacs, gluten sensitivity as celiacs, meaning you have a sensitivity in your digestive system. So they only usually test gluten sensitivity on the area that you would show intestinal problems. But there is another list of about 25 or 30 sensitivities or strands of gluten that you can be sensitive to that attack other areas of your body. One attacking your cerebellum, one attacking your thyroid, one attacking your muscles, one attacking your joints, one attacking your pancreas. And all of those things could create different symptoms, but they're not being tested for that. So gluten sensitivity, more people out there are more sensitive to it than they think, but when they go to the doctor and they say you don't have celiacs, they think they're in the clear. So I've had conversations, people say, oh, I got tested, I don't have celiacs. Well, that's great, but you didn't get tested for the other ones. And that's really important, because I personally was sensitive to gluten when I did my testing, but I didn't have celiacs.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked my doctor, can you check to see if I had celiac disease, or not celiac, see if I'm sensitive to gluten. He tested for this panel for celiac, it came back negative, so he's like, no, you're good, you can eat whatever you want. I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. I was having my own personal health issues that I was dealing with, so I got my testing in the other lab company, and my results were way off the charts in other strands. One of the strands attacking my skin, one of the strands attacking, obviously giving me the leaky gut. There was other ones as well, I can't think off the top of my head, but I had about 5 different strands that I was sensitive to. So what did that make me do? I can't have gluten. So I changed my diet and changed my lifestyle. And we could talk about that another day. So then people have diets that are low in protein and fat. Believe it or not, protein and fat is actually good for your body. It helps to build and regenerate your body. Because our muscles and our cells are actually, if you look at the most basic component, all of them are broken up into amino acids. So your proteins are your building blocks of your body. So you need protein. And fat is very important as well. People are afraid of fat. They think if you have high-fat diets that you're going to get heart disease because you're going to get clogged arteries and stuff. You know what causes the clogged arteries? The inflammation in your body that breaks down the arterial walls, and you have this really cool thing called cholesterol that helps to repair that. But if you never get rid of the inflammation in the first place, you're going to keep breaking down the artery, so the body's still trying to repair it, and it gets atherosclerosis because the cholesterol is trying to repair that area and it just gets clogged. So it's actually the underlying inflammation causing the problem, not the high cholesterol or the high intake of fat. But people don't realize that. They're not being told that. They're just being told that you have high cholesterol, that's what's causing your heart disease, that's your risk for heart disease. Well, you have high cholesterol because of something else going on in your body that's not being addressed. And usually that is a component of chronic inflammation. Okay, cool. So we want to stay away from omega-6 fatty acids. That is high in all of our fried processed foods. It's high in anything that's vegetable oil created. So you want to try to stay away from that. And then every chronic disorder has a component of inflammation involved in it. So simple changes in your diet can decrease your risk for all of these things. We all would love to go through life not having to deal with cancer, not having to deal with diabetes, not having to deal with heart disease. But if you live the lifestyle that most people live, you're going through the direction. Okay, cool. So now let's go into what we can have in our body that is going to be anti-inflammatory. Because if we have all this inflammation in the body, we have to decrease the inflammation in the body. So you want to have foods that are high in omega-3 fish oils. So, omega-3 is the exact opposite of omega-6. So omega-6 and omega-3 should have an even ratio. Let's just say 1 to 1. I don't know if that's the exact number. Let's say it's 1 to 1 to make it easy to remember. So if you have a balance of omega-3 and omega-6 in our body, we have omega-6 that drives inflammation, we have omega-3 that decreases inflammation. If we have a balance, that would make sense that we have not really much inflammation in the body, right? Because this is raising it, this is decreasing it, it's kind of even. But when we live a diet that's high in omega-6 and low in omega-3, it brings that to where you're pro-inflammatory and you're not anti-inflammatory. So that's why these things happen. So the things that help you decrease inflammation are your omega-3s. Your omega-3s are in your fish, your freshwater fishes. So as much as they taste good, your bottom feeders, like your lobsters, your shrimps, your stuff like that, that's less of a quality of fish. You want to stick with the ones that swim around, the freshwater ones. So tuna is a great one, salmon, herring. Believe it or not, even though they don't taste the greatest, anchovies are amazing. And the oil that are in it are actually very anti-inflammatory. So that helps to bring down that inflammatory process. Nuts, believe it or not, are anti-inflammatory. They're good fats that help to bring down inflammation. So you can look into your almonds, you can look at your walnuts, you can look into your flaxseed. Those things are great as well. And then you want to look at what you're cooking with, your oils. So you want to stay far, far away from your vegetable oils. That's like a given. So you don't want to be with any of the vegetable oils. You don't want to be with the corn oils. You don't want to be with the canola oils. You don't want to be with the vegetable oils. You want to be having more of the other oils that are less inflammatory to the body, that have more of a good fat omega-3 ratio that's better than omega-6. So that's your olive oils, your coconut oils, your avocado oil. I personally love to use avocado oil. They have a great one that comes in a nice big green bottle, and I personally like to use that, and I cook everything with it. Like when I have bacon in the morning, people are always like, you have bacon in the morning? I'm like, yes, because I have a diet that's higher in fat. We're going to talk about that in the future. It's called a ketogenic diet. We'll talk about that another day, because that's a whole other conversation.
Okay.
But I actually drizzle the avocado oil on the pan, and then I put the bacon on top of that, because then you're going to get more of the good fat. So you should not be afraid of fat. People are so afraid of it. It's not something you should be afraid of. Fat and protein are your friends. The high carbohydrates, the high bad carbohydrates, are the things you should be fearing every day.
Yeah, that was something that I actually had to, I looked into, and the more I studied that, the more I realized that your brain, for the most part, develops much, much faster off of saturated fats than monosaturated fats. So I was looking at that like, okay, in the nutritional world, things like tallow, lard, I was looking at it and it says they're excellent because of the balance. And then you mix that with a good, not vegetable oil, but a regular high-fat vegetables like coconuts, olive oil, and you mix the two together. Just like you said, you took your bacon and you put it on top of the avocado oil. I actually do something similar, and I found out my omega-3 levels in my blood. In fact, that just came from the VA today, are through the roof.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle that a lot of people are afraid of, but it's one of the lifestyles that could change your life. And it did for me.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that another time.
It's good for my heart.
Yeah, but so yeah, the oils are important. The nuts, the seeds, etc., are going to be anti-inflammatory to the body. You also want to look into what's called antioxidants. Antioxidants, they neutralize what are called free radicals. Free radicals, in the most fun and simplest terms, is the bad guys going around destroying other cells. They're the bullies of your cells. They're unstable. Most bullies are unstable, right? So they're unstable, and they're going around and they're trying to stabilize themselves. They're trying to strengthen themselves. So they go around and they destroy the cells that are around them so that they can become more stabilized, but then it unfortunately unstabilizes the other ones. And that's a reaction that causes a lot of the aging process. It's the beginning stages of cancer and stuff like that. So that's called free radicals. The antioxidants neutralize them. So your antioxidants are going to be your fruits, the low glycemic fruits. You don't want to have too much high glycemic fruits, and if you need to know what they are, look up low glycemic index, or look up the glycemic index, and look at the lower ones for the fruits. Those are the best ones. They're usually your berries. Any berry source is usually a lower glycemic one. There's other ones as well. But your berries, your prunes, your apples, your plums, those are going to be more antioxidant driven.
I guess you should avoid pineapple.
Oh,
Pineapple is
if you-
acidic and a higher
that's
sugar
like
one. So you gotta
really
look.
bad.
You gotta look out. Next time I do this talk, or next time I do another talk, I will get a list of the glycemic index, and we can actually go over them. Or I could even send it to you guys. And then also your beans, believe it or not, your beans are good for your body. It's anti-inflammatory. It's one of those pure foods that are great for the body. So you want to add that in there. Don't be afraid to have the kidney beans, the black beans, etc. Those are all antioxidant in addition to anti-inflammatory. So when you combine those together, you are going now towards a body that's going closer to health and wellness and further from sickness and disease. Does that sound like a plan that's pretty easy to do? It's not like we're telling you to go home and count every calorie that you have, make sure that you don't go over 1,200, and make sure that you have, this much of this. Like that, to people, could be very overwhelming. I have family that I'm trying to help lose weight that literally say, just give me the most basic thing. If you start telling me about macronutrients and fat and protein and calories, I'm overwhelmed and I can't do it. So I literally go, stop the carbohydrates, eat more fat and protein. Done. There's the conversation. And have the good carbohydrates. Literally the most basic thing you could do.
Yeah.
But
Food is
people are
basic.
afraid. They're afraid of the unknown. That's like one of the big fears, is afraid they don't know what to do. So rather than take steps to learning how to do it, they just stay in their little house of comfort. And they're in their comfort zone. And then that comfort zone, unfortunately, is driving the problem. You have to be able to go outside of your comfort zone, because when you're outside of your comfort zone, that's when you grow the most. And it doesn't have to grow this way. It could grow in other ways. But sometimes our habits make us grow this way, rather than grow in our mind and the way we want to. So, here's a cool picture I saw. Let me zoom this in so you guys can see it. So these are 14 of the best vegetables out there. Because vegetables are very important. They are a good carbohydrate.
Yeah, excellent.
So arugula, spinach, mushrooms, broccoli, cauliflower, tomatoes, cucumbers, all great sources of nutrients. Red bell peppers, zucchini, yellow peppers, red onions, bean sprouts, eggplant, bok choy. All great sources. Top 14. I mean, it's pretty easy to go to the store and get some spinach, broccoli, and kale. I do it every week. And that's pretty much my diet at night.
That's right.
We
You
have
can
some
spice it
broccoli,
up with some
we have
good
some
herbs.
spinach, we have some kale. We might throw on a steak, might throw on some type of fish. It's literally my diet at night. And people always say, I don't have time to cook or I don't have time to eat well. It's not that hard to put a steak on the grill or on the stove for 15 minutes. It really isn't. And you get your food quicker than if you say, hey, Domino's, you mind sending me some pizza? And you gotta wait a half hour, 45 minutes for your food. So the same amount of time you're waiting for that food, you could cook it already and eat it.
Yeah.
So here's some dietary tips. Let's end on something powerful, because then you have some action steps you could take. So who here does not have a breakfast? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 people here right now that do not do a breakfast. Breakfast is one of the most important meals of the day, because it starts your day off either low on fuel or on fuel. So what happens if you go on a long trip and you have a quarter of a gas of tank? You're going to go very, very far. No. So if you start your day with low fuel, how are you going to be energetic and successful through your day? So, what, do you have a comment? I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually, honestly, I can't say I don't have a breakfast
Okay.
per se. I just don't have the American breakfast
Okay,
in the morning.
so that's a big statement.
Okay.
Okay, so let's play. Let's have some fun. What is an American breakfast?
Usually 2 slices of white toast, butter, or margarine, neither of which in the regular world is any good. Okay, I would take butter over the margarine if I had to. Bacon, processed. Eggs, processed. And either that or a bagel and coffee.
Exactly. So now, what is the theme of that breakfast? What is it high in? Carbohydrates. So the all-American diet, like we said earlier, is high in carbohydrates. So they decide to start their day in carbohydrates. Well, guess why carbohydrates are not great for your body? What does it do to your energy? It spikes up. So it does give you that glucose. You got to realize it breaks down into glucose. This is the component of the ketogenic diet we'll get in the future. This is why ketogenic diet is better than a regular diet. So glucose is a part of your body that gives you energy. But the energy is very up and then down. It's not very sustained. So you get a really big spike and you get all this energy, but then you plummet even lower than you were before. So then what do people typically do when they get their plummet?
Coffee.
They go get coffee, they go get some
get some
cookies,
sweets.
they go get more things that are sweet because their body's craving that glucose. And their glucose level now goes back up and you get this jump. But then it comes right back down. You're on this big roller coaster of up and down,
Yeah,
up and down. So we live in this world where some people don't like roller coasters, but they're on it every day because their sugars are going up and down. So here's the reverse. When you have a diet higher in fat and protein, your body now changes its fuel source from glucose, because your body starts to burn the glucose, and then it starts to use fat and protein as its main source. When you break down fat and protein, it becomes in your body what's called ketones. Ketones is a very efficient source of energy. It's like your diesel source of energy versus your regular gas. It's something that's more sustained. Has anybody had a steak, a big nice steak for dinner, and maybe had some good, fatty vegetables, not vegetables, but fatty foods, and did they feel like they were hungry an hour later?
No.
Absolutely not, right? But how many people have had, say, a pizza, and then an hour and a half later, they're like, man, I'm so hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not sustained energy. So that's why a ketogenic diet or a protein, a richer in protein and fat diet works, because it changes your body's source of energy. And then when you have that source of energy, you become a fat-burning machine because you're using that as energy. And now you're relying on that as your source of metabolism. And people's lives just transform. Unfortunately, it's a hard diet to do because, number one, you're very low on carbohydrates. When you're used to having carbohydrates that are in every single meal, so let's say you're having 150 grams of carb a day, a ketogenic diet says get under 50 grams. So now you're cutting it in a third. So I don't want to go on a ketogenic diet. We're actually going to have a day that we're going to talk about that down in the future. But that is why a ketogenic diet is better than that, because your source of energy literally changes in your body. And that's more efficient, and it makes it more healthy. So your breakfast that you were talking about, that you have, is probably higher in fat and protein, correct?
Yes, it is. It's avocado.
That was my next statement. That was my next statement.
Yeah.
Is make sure that your breakfast is higher in fat and protein than carbohydrates. If you do that, first of all, you get more sustained energy. And some people start to say to me, well, I don't have time to cook in the morning. Get a shake. Get a multi-nutritional shake that's high in fat and protein. You can even add things in there to make it higher in fat, like adding omega-3 fish oils, adding in the good fats that are
coconut oil,
add coconut oil. You can make it higher. So you can actually blend that up, and wherever you have to go, bring it in the car and do it. I do that every morning if I don't have time to cook. I like to cook it too, because it's better to have a variety. Right. But sometimes you don't have time to do that, so you have a shake. That's easy to do like that. But you start with that, and then in between your meals, it's important to snack, because you want to keep that metabolism going. But you don't want to snack on cookies and cakes. You want to snack on something more healthy, like you can have avocado. You can
have a handful of almonds,
you can have all different
walnuts.
Nuts. I mean, you could talk for hours about the good fats that you can have. So that's another tip. So not only do you want to have a breakfast, you want to snack in between your meals to keep that metabolism going and keep that blood sugar level. Because if you go really long hours without food, your blood sugar can drop down very low. And if you do have to have your carbohydrates, I personally recommend it, have it in the middle of the day. Have your breakfast more protein and fat driven, have your dinner more protein and fat driven, and use the middle of your day as your carbohydrates. Because at least if you're spiking in the day, you're busy and you can do it. Rather than in the morning you're sleeping, in the night you're starting to go to bed.
Gotcha.
So you're more active in the daytime, so at least you're burning off the calories that you're having. So that's a good thing you can do as well. And then obviously you want to eat a diet rich in your low glycemic fruits, your fresh vegetables. We just gave you 14 choices. You could choose 3 of them and use them as your go-tos. You don't have to have all 14. You could say, I like I like broccoli, I like spinach, I like kale. There you go. There's your 3 choices. You can use that every day. You also want to have lean meats and fish. Your lean meats and your fish are going to be higher in the good fats and the omega-3s, so that's going to help to decrease that inflammation. But those are easy steps that you could do just to change your life, like that. And then obviously water. We live in a world that we're chronically dehydrated, and people don't even realize it. Because the formula that you want to use to figure out how much water a day you should have is take your body weight. Let's say we're 100 pounds. Cut it in half. That's 50 pounds. You're supposed to have 50 ounces of water per day for that person. So you take your body weight, cut it in half, that's how many ounces a day. There's a lot of people in this world that are walking around not having that much water. And then they dehydrate themselves even more by having sodas, by having coffee throughout the day with sugar, and all of a sudden they're even more dehydrated. So when you're having all those dehydrating drinks, you actually have to have more than half your body weight. But if you just take the rule of half your body weight in an ounce of water, and every time you have to drink, have some source of water, And you can make water taste better by adding fruit to it. You could use water with lemon. You can infuse it with, you know, other fruits as well. You can make water fun. Everybody's always like, oh, it's so plain. I want something else. Add some stuff to it. Just don't add sweeteners to it. Don't add artificial sugars to it. Don't add Splenda. You know, don't add all these things. That's all the stuff that drives more sickness and disease. Okay, cool. Nice, I was on time again. On a roll. So, a lot of information I gave you. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts that maybe I didn't get out? Anybody? Yes.
Can I get 2 quick questions?
You can get 10 quick questions if you want.
It can't eliminate the pasta. You talked about that being a bad carbohydrate. Do I do myself a disservice thinking I'm helping myself by eating whole grain pasta or brown rice pasta? Is it just the same waste of
No,
carbohydrates
so
or not?
the one thing you want to rule out, if you're going to go with a whole grain or wheat diet, wheat pasta.
Whole wheat.
Yeah, no, you're right. I got what you got. You want to make sure your body's not sensitive to gluten or wheat.
Okay.
The best way to do it is some blood testing.
Okay.
The correct blood testing. So we could talk about that if you want to go that direction. But yeah, if you're not sensitive in your body to wheat or gluten, going the route of a whole wheat one is definitely better than going with your white rice pasta.
Okay, cool.
Or you can even go with rice pasta. And believe it or not, there's a sneaky trick that you can hopefully trick your body. There's things called zucchini. What is it?
Zucchini pasta.
Yeah, it's a zucchini pasta.
The spiral?
It's like a spiral zucchini.
Yeah, you make them.
You can trick your body into thinking they're having that because it kind of looks and tastes like it, and add the pasta sauce and all that stuff, and that's a healthier choice as well.
Yeah, it's machine
But it's
costs
not-
no
it's not
money. I have
The
one.
Vegetti.
What is it?
The Vegetti.
Is that what it's called?
That's the machine.
Yeah,
Vegetti.
I've got one.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a funky word.
pretty good.
They're
I like
already done in the
Yeah, you gotta watch how you say that word.
it.
The Vegetti, everybody.
Okay.
They have that already spiraled in the supermarket.
Yeah, they sell it as well.
Yeah.
And also there's something called spaghetti squash.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
which
already
is
shaved squash.
excellent.
Another source that you can do. So there is ways to trick yourself into thinking you're having the pasta, but get a
Yeah.
healthier component of that. So yes, you don't have to eliminate it, you can just make it healthier.
Right.
But it's already your mindset changing.
Yeah.
You have the choice. I could either cut it out or I can make a healthier choice.
Right.
So you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Just don't have it every single day.
No. And then
And number 2.
I haven't heard, and it wasn't included at all. I was off them for a long time. I went back. Eggs.
Eggs are an
Oh,
excellent source of
excellent
nutrition.
source of
There's been a
protein.
lot of upscare of, don't have the yolk, it's got too
Right,
much
exactly.
cholesterol,
Right.
throw that garbage out.
I went back.
That's
to
right.
You can have the yolk. The yolk is a great
Yeah.
source
So
of
what-
food
It's
and
the best
nutrition.
part
Yes,
of the
you
egg.
can have it. Don't have it every single day. Like you got to realize everything we're recommending is in moderation. Even the bad stuff.
Exactly.
Like one of the things I put up there. I don't think I talked about it. Is alcohol. People have to dabble into alcohol sometimes. It's just a stress reliever sometimes, but it obviously there's negative effects to it. So you don't want to abuse it. But if you have a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine at night with your meal, it's not going to kill you. But don't have 2 bottles. That's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
So
Big difference.
everything should be done in moderation.
Okay.
You got 8 more? I said you got 10.
No.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody on Facebook? I know there's people potentially watching.
Hey Marco, informative lecture. Look forward to more.
You're welcome. Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming again. Next week, we're back to our beginning of the month. So we're going to talk about the Change Your Mindset, Transform Your Life. It's another, it's more of a new patient workshop, but I always deliver the information differently every time, even though if it's the same type of slides. So the interaction, as you see here, we have interaction with you. Interaction between the people is what drives the conversation more than my slides. I try to make my slides as basic as possible, just sparking questions so that we can have the conversation. So, excellent. So, yes.
Before you finish up, I'm sorry to
Sure.
interrupt you. How do we go about ordering or having that
The blood test?
blood test done? One, because I've gone through a couple of things nutritionally with trying to fix the problems with digestion from over the years.
Yeah.
And so therefore I took some very good leaky gut products that I researched quite well. But now I was always looking for some place where I could see how effective it is through the blood test
Absolutely.
itself.
It's a super easy blood test. The phlebotomist comes here.
Okay.
We order it. It's a $199 test.
Okay.
The one that I would recommend. You can upgrade it to another source if you want to, but $199 is the basic one.
Okay.
And it tests 42 different strands of
Wow.
of gluten sensitivity plus leaky gut
Yeah.
components.
Yeah, I really wanted to know that
So
because
that
the
one is an
information
easy
part.
one. All we do is fill out a quick, requisition.
Okay.
I tell the phlebotomist, come on over and we'll take that test, and I don't get anything from that.
Okay.
It's actually the phlebotomist that takes your payment.
Okay.
The only thing I get is the results, and we'll discuss that, when it's
When
finished.
it's
So
finished.
I don't make any money off of the testing and stuff
Okay.
like that. So it's not. I don't do it for any financial reward. I do it to get important information about the body. So yeah, so that's that. And then they even have upgraded themselves in the past 4 months. The same company that I use
Mhm.
also does a 92 panel food sensitivity. So it checks 92 different foods outside of gluten.
Okay.
So that's another source as well you can do. And I believe that one is 150
Okay.
In
So
addition to.
in addition to, yes. But if you look at these food sensitivity testings,
Mhm.
there's food sensitivity testers out there that are in the $500, $600, $700 range.
Mm.
So that's actually a very affordable price in that range. So yeah, so that's a great way to start. Find out what you're sensitive to so that you can make the right decisions
Right.
on what to have and not have.
Right.
Because
yeah.
something you could think is healthy, like a whole wheat pasta, if you're sensitive to wheat, could be killing you. So that's important to know.
Yeah, it's good you at least offer that type of panel because
Definitely.
that's the only thing that I haven't done is because I had the VA test me
Mhm.
and they said the same thing. I don't have any problems.
Yeah.
something like that.
Of course.
But I know
There's
I want to
more.
make sure.
Of course, of
you
course.
know? Okay,
Sweet.
great.
Well, you guys are awesome. I appreciate all of your time. And let's wrap it up and see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat place.
Okay.
Take care.
All right now.
Sweet. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Ah man, I'm telling you. All right, now don't eat too much pasta now.
Great. That was awesome.